Hello and hi everyone. We are from Section 4 Group 3. We would like to present CSR Project SCTK 3553 Highlight in Fire Accident, where highlight stands for Hazard Identification, Risk Analysis, Risk Control. First of all, we would like to put disclaimer to let the audience know that this video is for learning experience purpose and not meant for industrial practicing. This is our group members, which the presentation will start by me, continued by Azriena and Sharveen, and lastly will be end by Zahirah. Our point of view are focused on fire accident in Brazil that happened between 2 until 2:30 am on 23rd January of 2013 that killing about 232 people. What actually happened on that day? The fire started when a member of a band ignited some sort of Sputnik pyrotechnic display that caused acoustic foam insulation on the ceiling to burn, and then it spread and fell on the stage. As a result of the toxic smoke and crowded conditions, people became disoriented and they were unable to find their way to the escape. Worse, they trampled on others because they were so terrified and trapped in such a small place. The situation became even worse when the guards didn't move and close the entrance, ensuing people fighting and trying to flee.
Now, let's start with hazard identification. So what is hazard? Hazard is any source of potential damage, harm, or adverse health effects on something or someone, meaning if it's harmful, then it's a hazard. So from the story put just now, what do you think is the main hazard? Well, the answer is right here. It's the Sputnik pyrotechnic performances indoors. Well, I emphasize on the indoors because it's completely wrong to use it indoors. Why is that so? The nightclub has a small space, height and width. And to use pyrotechnics, you need a large space. Just like this basketball stadium, it's very wide, it's very tall in height, so it's much safer for the audience. And to add all to the fire, there were acoustic foam insulation on the ceiling and they are flammable. So the pyrotechnics, some of them touch the foam, which practically caused the flames.
Next, let's move on to risk analysis. What is risk analysis? It is a process of assessing the likelihood of an adverse event occurring within the corporate, government, or environmental sector. In other words, risk analysis is how likely an event is to occur. Risk analysis contains the 4 factors below. The first one is existing control measures. As what Azriena mentioned just now, the pyrotechnics have caused the ignition of a fire and the fire has outraged throughout the whole nightclub. Therefore, it is essential for us to at least have fire extinguishers to prevent the fire from spreading and reduce any damage to the premises and to the people surrounding it. Secondly, the likelihood of this event is given a value of 5, meaning that it is most likely to occur and is most likely to result in a hazard. The third point is severity. So the severity of this event is given a value of 5 again, indicating that it is catastrophic and it may cause numerous fatalities and irrecoverable property damages. Last but not least, the risk level can be calculated by multiplying the likelihood by the severity. In this case, we will obtain a risk level of 25, which is actually quite high according to the risk level index.
Hi, so that is for risk control. But before that, from the risk analysis earlier, we know the risk value is high. Thus, a risk control action plan should be implemented. First and foremost, what is risk control or hazard control? Risk control is the eradication or the activation of danger in such a way that the hazard no longer poses a risk to personnel who must access an area or operate an equipment as part of their planned activity. Then, in order to prevent any hazard at the workplace, we must come out with a risk control action plan. To do that, we have a hierarchy of control. Okay, this is the hierarchy of control, starting the most effective measure, which is elimination, where we physically remove the hazard. Then the second one is substitution, which we replace the hazard. After that, engineering control, we isolate the workers from the hazard. Administrative control are where we change the way the workers perform their work for the better. And lastly is PPP, where we protect the worker with personal protective equipment. After knowing the hierarchy of control, finally we can execute a risk control action plan for our hazard that is high ignition source from the use of pyrotechnic indoor, which can cause fire explosion. In this situation, which involve fire hazard, the elimination control measure plays a big role. We can physically remove your source of fire, which is pyrotechnic, and utilize it outdoors, and never use the pyrotechnic inside any building or workplace. Then for substitution, instead of pyrotechnic, we can use LED light or disco light to prevent any ignition of the fire. So that's it for the risk control. I think that's all from us. Thank you.